Hello again, whiskey friends. Thanks for joining today, everybody. Man, am I doubly excited for what we have tonight, because it has been on our to-do list for months. We've been talking about it for months. We've got to do a blind flight of the entire 4-Gate Kelvin Collaboration Series. And tonight is the night. We blinded them. We've got 1 through 5. We've actually got them all in the same blind order, too. And as we sip these, we get to talk to Bill Straub, CBO of 4-Gate himself. So pretty epic 4-Gate night. If you've got a 4-Gate, it is time to pour it. So we'll kick off the show and bring everybody else on. Thanks for joining today, whiskey friends. Well, we got lots of people coming into chat so far. I see 32 in chat. Thank you for joining, everybody. And first, let's introduce somebody who earlier today decided to check in just to let us know that he was still alive because he was jumping out of airplanes earlier. Let's bring on Durell. Durell is in fact alive. Here is a wellness check.
Alive and well, guys. Cheers, man. Yeah, skydiving, it's my jam. Try to go as much as I can every season and take, a bunch of people for their first time. But yeah, jumped out, made it to the ground safely, gave a couple check-ins after that. I try to let everybody know once I'm down and back on the ground before I say I'm going. But yeah, welcome everybody. This should be fun.
I didn't even know your life was in peril until you text us and tell us you're alive. It's like, oh man, should I have been worried all this time?
I know. Do the same with my mother. I call her once I'm back on the ground, or she would be going nuts.
All right. And then from the Whiskey Riff Lounge, and also on my shirt right now, let's bring in Kelsey.
Cheers, guys. It's good to see you all here. Man, this is exciting. I do have to give a shout out to Mike Stahl because it's his birthday. We're living the chug life. Happy birthday, Stallsy. Man, this is going to be a fun stream. And I'm excited to get to talk with Bill and see what's going on with 4-Gate and what new things are coming out. Exactly. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I'll give a shout out to Mike as well. I've got my glasses A through D because I only have 4 glasses that are labeled with letters. So my E-glass is a live wire whiskey glass tonight in celebration of Mike Stahl. All right, let's not keep him waiting anymore. Let's bring on, in my entire life, I've only met 2 CBOs, and this man is one of them. Let's bring on Bill.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good, man. It's good to have you on.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. It's good to be here.
Oh, yeah. So your title is Chief Blending Officer.
Yep.
What was the inspiration behind the CBO titles in general?
So when we started the company, I was ordering business cards for Bobby, my partner, and I said, "What do you want to be? Do you want to be CFO, CEO, president, founder? What do you want it to say?" And he said, "That sounds way too corporate. We're a whiskey company. We're not corporate." He said, "I want to be Chief Barrel Officer, CBO." And I said, "I like the sound of that. I'm going to be Chief Blending Officer. I'm going to be CBO too." So that's what we did.
Nice.
I have a philosophy that we're not printing religious texts here, and we're not trying to raise children or do anything crazy like that. We're making whiskey, and it's supposed to be fun. If it's not fun, we're doing it wrong. So we try to have fun.
Nice. That's awesome.
Definitely a good mentality to have. I try my blending or my share of blending in. I struggle sometimes. So we appreciate the bottles that you're putting out because these things are pretty nuts.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've been fans of yours since the start. Kelvin 1, which is in one of the glasses in front of me. I'm actually not sure which glass it is now that I say that.
I did find a way to, when I was offline, I found a way to randomize mine. I don't know which one's which, so I'll be tasting mine blind too, but they're in a different order than yours, I'm sure.
Okay, nice.
But you'll know what the order is after it's all said and done. You just
Yes.
randomize them, and it's just like,
Yeah,
whatever it was.
Yeah, I can find out what they are afterwards.
All right.
No rev limit.
Hey.
Shout out to my homie Durell. Let's get it.
What
Thanks,
is
buddy.
going
Appreciate
on?
that.
It's my buddy David out in Seattle,
Look.
man.
Give us a moment here. We'll say hi to a couple people in chat, and then we'll start talking. So first in was Top Dog, but his message went away. But then we got the Drift and Drams. They had something to say about the picture I used as a thumbnail, and I had to assure them, Bill, that you approved the thumbnail.
Well, it's a 5-year-old picture. I have a lot more color in my beard and my hair. I'm thinner and younger, so I'm absolutely fine with it no matter how weird it looks. It takes way too much Photoshop for me to look any better than that today.
Ethan's always on somebody's case.
Aaron Hodges, thanks for coming, buddy. I'm wearing the Drop and Dime shirt here. There's Top Dog. Cheers, Top Dog, and cheers, Doug H. And we got Stacy in here as well. Sugar Kitty. He'll probably call me out eventually by name. Got Gandy Roden here. Cheers, Ron. Dan O.B. Ben Draman. Oh, here's a guy. Little Chris Luggett.
I've seen both names on there. I've seen
He's
the
got
next one.
names.
He's like double fisting right now.
I think he was like, oh, that's not the one I was supposed to use. Let me go in with this one.
He's got his phone in one hand, his iPad in the other. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Appreciate the views, Chris. Jake McKee in here. Dana. Oh, I didn't ignore Dana this time. See?
Hey, you actually
Don't
said her
always
name
ignore you.
this time. Wow.
Yeah.
We're on
Hi,
a
Dana.
roll.
Thank you for pouring my blind tonight. John Chi. Cheers. There's Sugar Kitty. I knew he was going to say it. All right. Got Burr Ben in here. Roy R. does things. Shauna Marie. Oh, so many people in here tonight. Thanks for joining, everybody.
Everybody's coming through.
Ellen's fam and Cheech.
My man Cheech.
All right. Kelsey, why don't you take over for a few if you can pick up where I left off? And then
Sure.
we'll almost be
Got,
caught up.
JG. Saucy Shane is in here. Cheers, buddy. Ricardo. Cheers, man. David Smith. I do want to give an extra shout out to Stacy and her. Congratulations to her on her award that she was just awarded. Go check her out. Make sure that you subscribe to her channel there. Jared, cheers to you. John Cloud. Henry Turner, my buddy from another mother. Cheers, man.
Ooh, sipping on an old sherry pike, too.
Yeah.
Our mutual
Ellen's-
friend Todd Ritter killed one of those earlier, just like a couple minutes ago.
Yep. Ellen's fams, cheers to you. The legend himself is in here. Richie Z, cheers,
My
man.
Richie.
Everybody loves Richie. Richie is
Doesn't miss a
awesome.
stream, man. He misses it.
Not
something's
even a
up.
chance. Let's see. MJ, WJK. All these initials
Hey,
is throwing me off.
Bill Cav.
Let's see. Jason, cheers to you, buddy. Ska. I think we're just about caught up. Paul P. Saw him in here.
Hey, Paul.
And I think.
OH is
We
in here as
are-
well.
Oh, wait.
Ooh,
There we
OH.
go. Cheers, buddy. It's good to see you, man.
Just grab the
Alright.
bottle for him. That's going to
Sipping
get
on
out there
some
pretty
Kelvin
soon.
5 later.
I think we're caught up, man. We're all caught up.
Awesome.
I did see your comment earlier, David. We are going to go jumping next time you're out here. It was somewhere on here, but I did see it.
All right. Expect the same wellness check. You know, the random message while you're working. Hey, everybody, I'm alive.
There we go. There it is. It's definitely happening. Not sure if that's the craziest thing you do. I wouldn't call it crazy, but one of the most adventurous things that I do. I love
And if
it.
Keith jumps in here later, either catching up with us now or on the replay, I sent him the entire flight as well. So he gets to sample along with us. Not quite as blind as we are, but he gets to sample them all the same.
Yeah, it'll be fun nonetheless.
So
Black Star, cheers, buddy. Good to see you in here.
Bill, before we get to talking about Foregate and a couple questions I got written down, let's get to some sampling here so we can drink some whiskey together.
Sounds
do it.
I am curious what you think is going to be the winner. We talked about this a little bit backstage. You had a sentimental pick, but where are you going to bet?
It's hard to say because 1 and 2 have the most age on them. So they kind of stand out from that standpoint with the most barrel character. But the Burai is also super spicy and really tends to stand out in a lineup of these 5. Sorry, not 3. So I don't know. I think it's probably going to be a toss-up between, I'll say 2 and 4. I would say 5 has the most barrel finish notes to it of any of them we've done. But again, as I was saying before we went live here, I don't have a whole lot of bottles of batch 1 left. So I don't drink it very often. And when I do, it kind of shocks me. I forget how much I liked it at the time. So who knows? Everybody's a little different, but I think the smart money is probably on 2 and 4 or 5, just depending on palates.
All right.
I'm hoping 2 still wins it for me. If not, then hey, they're all great on their own. But yeah, 2's been my jam since God I've had it, man, and that's what batch 6. I had batch 4 was the first one I've ever tried. Then batch 6, and I was like, holy crap! Then I went down the rabbit hole, and you can see
that second one, 12 and a half years old. That's a banger, man. That one is and that cognac and dark rum just blended so well together. Those barrels it was crazy. We had them in the barrels for maybe a week and a half, and we went to check on them in the warehouse, and they had the barrels had to be about 40 years old, the cognac barrels, and they were standing upright, and it didn't dawn on us until we went in to check them that in 40 years those barrels have probably never been upright, so the heads had never been dry. And the boards were so warped. One of them was kind of raised and the other one was lowered. I could stick my hand in and touch the whiskey without touching any of the barrel head on it. And we kind of realized that was a problem. So we had to wrap it. And but just really interesting kind of a learning experience for us. And just, it was one of those things I look back on and think about how much fun this whole thing has been. That's one of the best memories. You could just dip a Glencairn straight into the barrel.
Yeah, no drilling needed. That's pretty nuts. You guys ready to dive into some whiskey?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let's dive into some whiskey here. I got to say, you mentioned the Kelvin 1, and that was my introduction to Foregate. So we're going back now to 2020. I'm pretty sure the years just kind of melt. But beginning of 2020?
2019, April of 2019, April 13th, maybe.
Man,
something like that.
Even further back. Oh my gosh, it's been that long. And I think the thing that sticks out to me with the Kelvin collab when it first came out was the secondary market was insane. It just seemed like there was a barrier to good whiskey if you weren't educated on what was out there. And when Foregate came out and I tried Kelvin Collab for the first time, that's when I was like, yeah, I'm not getting engaged with this whole secondary thing. I'll just keep finding things like Foregate. Like that was the exact moment where I was just like, yeah, I'm just good with the thing I can buy at Party Source. Like I'm fine with this one.
That was a fun batch. I mean, we learned so much from that first batch. We had no idea the expenses we were going to be incurring. We thought it would just be pay a little bit for whiskey, put it in a barrel, put it in a bottle, roll it out, and it was not the case. Not the case.
Oh.
It was something.
I think I bought a Kelvin Collab 1 every 2 weeks consecutively for like 3 or 4 weeks until it's just stopped being in the shelf at Party Source. I was just like, I'm just going to keep going back.
There's a place in Nashville, I forget the name of it now, that still has it. And people send it to me once in a while, and I keep saying, next time you're there, grab me a bottle. I've got like 3 left. I'll take another one.
You're like, I'm running out too.
Yeah.
You're talking about Tennessee, Bill, that they still have batch 1 or Kelvin 1?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's pretty nuts. Seen them scattered. I got a couple 2s, I think, from Tennessee, and they had them like in Florida. I'm like, how are they still out there? It's like 4 years ago. It's pretty nuts.
So, Bill, we've got 55 people in here. Why not give us just a little history of Foregate? Where you been? Abridged version, but also where are you going from here? I'm pretty excited.
So yeah, Foregate, it was 2018, really 2017. I had a website called Modern Thirst with a couple of buddies of mine, and we did kind of what you guys do here. We never really were very prolific with video because we were probably too lazy for it. But we wrote blogs and reviews, and while I was doing that, I met my business partner now, Bobby D'Antoni, and he introduced me to Kelvin Cooperage because he wanted me to go do an article on Kelvin Cooperage for our website. And it was just a great experience. I loved what they do. I loved the brothers at the time who ran it, one of whom since passed away. Fantastic people. William Hornaday, their operations director, fantastic human being. They're good people. Their business is awesome. Their barrels are awesome. And just being up close and personal and see all those workers, the men and women who work there, and their skill in doing all of this pretty much by hand. There's no big conveyor belts or anything like that. Really cool experience. And walking through the warehouse where they had thousands and thousands of barrels in little clumps of 5 or 10 or 400, depending on what it was. I just remember thinking, man, I've had some barrel finished whiskey before. I've never really had American whiskey, not much of it anyway, where they started with really the best whiskey and then barrel finished it for a little bit. Everyone was always taking a 3-year-old or a 2-year-old, throwing it in a sherry barrel and calling it a day. But I'd also kind of started getting into Scotch at the same time, and the idea that Scotch, one grain, it's pretty much always malted barley. They can use any barrel they want. Their flavor spectrum is across the board. When you think about American whiskey, especially bourbon, as long as 51% is corn, the rest of the grains can be anything we want it to be. But we have to use that new oak barrel where, as the saying goes, 85, whatever they say, percentage of your flavor and all your color comes from that barrel. So no matter what the other grains are, if there's not caramel and vanilla or something along those lines, someone screwed something up royally along the way. So our flavor spectrum was very narrow. And I really had this in my head after doing some consulting for some national brands and helping them do some launches that I thought were just disasters. I really just wanted to show what you could do introducing other barrels to really high quality American whiskey as opposed to the really young stuff. The way Scotch does. If you don't have to like Scotch by any means, you don't have to like Irish whiskey or anything like that. But the influence of their barrels gives a much broader flavor spectrum than we get in the United States with new charred oak barrels. So I wanted to take our best whiskey and show what it could be when you introduce these other types of wood that have held other spirits along the way. So I called up Bobby one night about a year after I'd run that article, and I said, I have an idea for a whiskey company. This is what I want to do. He said, yeah, sounds pretty cool. I said, I think I'd like Kelvin to be involved, whether they want to invest or whether they want to just work with us. Can you give them a call? And he said, yeah, they probably want to invest. They just don't like to, they've done that on a couple of them, but they really, it's not what they do. And then he said, I said, I'm going to need a partner on this because this is going to be a part-time job and I don't want to become a full-time job necessarily. And I think I had gotten the sentence out and he had pretty much shut down his own company and was doing this full-time and running with it and really made this something special. He, all credit to Bobby. He's been the best decision I ever made was say, hey, Bobby, you want to do a whiskey company? And this is kind of where we are. It just kind of exploded. And as of this year, I'm full-time with it too. I finally quit my day job. And so here we are. Nice. That was back in 2018. Oh. We launched the company, and then 2023 is when I quit my job.
Well, congratulations, going full time. The last time I saw you, you were still splitting time, I think. So. Yeah, it was a long decision. You have all these benefits, and I worked there for almost 17 years. It's a little scary when you just kind of chop ties and say, I'll go do my own thing for a while.
Definitely know that feeling.
Oh man. Hey, but building something up like this, I mean, it's good. You got to look back with just some pride on the last 5 years because it's been a fabulous ride for me. I know I don't have any of the stress and the heartache involved like you have, like half open barrels sitting out that you can dip your Glens into.
It's a blast. It really has been fun. We've been fortunate. We've surrounded ourselves with good people, starting with Kelvin Cooperage. Our partners at Republic National and Littman in Tennessee as our distributors. We picked the right people to be our investors with the company to start with. They're all fantastic. We've been lucky. We hired a couple of folks this year. Chris up in Chicago is I think he's watching here. Our brand ambassador up in Chicago, Northern Illinois has been fantastic. Nick Nelson here in Louisville is our national sales director, had 25 years running markets for Brown-Forman and Woodford Reserve. Just been fantastic on the, working with distributors and retailers, which is I feel like Bobby and I have done a pretty good job of putting whiskey in bottles, but we're kind of at that growth stage now where we need people who understand the business side of it on dealing with both retail accounts, on-premise accounts, and distributors as we expand into new markets. And adding Chris and Nick has been fantastic. They've been awesome.
Oh yeah, well, we can all vouch for Chris as well. We're
Absolutely.
all real big fans of Chris.
How many markets are you currently in right now, Bill?
We're in 11. We're working on 4 at the moment, and probably 4 more will be starting within the next couple of weeks. So it's we're testing out control states.
Okay.
Not been in a control state yet, but we're testing them out. I'm a little nervous about it. Hopefully it goes really well. Again, we get to work with Republic National, and I think all the control states we're going to, which makes it easy because they know us and we know them and we trust them. So
Massachusetts in the works.
Yeah, it's we've considered that one. I believe that's a state that Republic isn't in, which makes it a little different for us because we do expand with Republic first. So, but it's one of them we've talked about.
Got it. Just simplifies things for me rather than having.
We'd obviously like to be in all the states. It's just it's a matter of logistics, getting the licenses, handling all the there's a long lead up time of getting your license and getting all the compliance stuff approved to get into a state. And then it costs you money to be in the state. So if they only want to order 1 pallet a year, it costs you more to have a license than you make off the pallet of whiskey. So
gotcha.
You got to send out a lot of feelers and get an idea for what they think their volume is going to be.
I imagine the logistics to working up the volume is in its own challenge right there to supply all the state, right?
We'll travel there once or twice before the launch if we can, and we always send a bunch of samples up to the distributors, and we try to give them enough lead time to kind of go and prime the market a little bit, take some samples out, talk to their big accounts. We're working with a couple of the national chains of kind of working with them. So any market we expand to that they're in, they'll automatically pick it up, which would help us tremendously when we expand. So we're trying to do what we can, but yeah, it's just a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and adding a couple folks to the team helps because every state we go to is another state we have to travel to once, twice a year. And Bobby and I can't be everywhere all the time. So we're working on some ideas on some ambassadors and things like that could kind of be boots on the ground for us in different states, kind of unofficial, unofficial, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Ambassadors for us. I think that could be a lot of fun for a lot of people. And
no, absolutely. I think you've got 3 that would jump at any chance to do it.
Gotcha. I'll write down your names now.
I'm in, bro. I am in.
I haven't even tasted these. I've been going through nosing them. I'm like, oh my God, I just need to drink them.
I haven't started any of them yet, so I'm going to start that now.
Well, let's let Bill catch his breath, get a sip in here, guys.
Yeah.
So, Kelsey, did you give your vote on what you think's going to win? I know you haven't tried all these, but
haven't tried 1 and 2. I've tried 3, 4, and 5. My bet is on 4 or 5. That split stay Burai. I mean, I love just the Burai by itself, but when you finished it and put it out as 4, it's just on another level. I really, really enjoyed that. But I will say I've never done a blind of 4-gate, so I don't know how each one will do versus the other. So that's the interesting part because it's going to influence the others, and so we'll see how it comes out.
No, you're right to point that out, Kelsey, because I did this last year. I didn't have a 2, but I had 1, 3, 4, and 4 stood out, and I think it was because of the rye, extra rye, and the spice of it. Like that's what made it stand out in the blind.
Yeah. And
but
all of these,
I adore 3, and I adore 1, and I adore 2.
All of these have such different. All of these have such different, incredible qualities about them that it just. There's one, like my second glass to me compared to the first glass that I have is just night and day difference on the nose of what stands out. So it's.
Oh, I know what that one is. I think we'll taste the rest of them, make sure, but I'm pretty sure that was the one that I just had there that was the second one.
The second one, the cognac one. I've been going through my head on that one too. Every time I've come across it.
I think I know at least two of the first three that I've tasted, because one of them is 3, because that's the PX sherry, and it's a really bright, sweet fruit note to it. I'm pretty sure the second one, I'm not really sure what the second one was. It might be 1.
There's Mr. Kavanaugh. Cheers, buddy. Yeah, those guys, Bill and Bobby, do a lot of great things for charity, and I'm glad you were getting to be a part of that, Bill Kavanaugh.
Oh, man.
I mean, this group in general, you guys have helped out this particular crowd that's in chat and around here, between all the single barrels and everything else. The junkies had a chance for a pick. Mash and Journey have had a couple chances here. You got Barrels of Hope. I mean, these are some good single barrels that are going out there. So we obviously like to sell our single barrels, and we know when especially at our price point, the bulk of people who are looking for our product are, I like to call them the whiskey geeks, the same people that I am and I have always been. I always read all the blogs. I love to watch in my spare time. I watch you guys, a lot of the YouTubers. That's really our bread and butter. Those are the folks who are really going to drive spreading the word for us. It's not going to be some random dude in a liquor store seeing our bottle and grabbing it without ever having heard of us before. So we always want the I don't know what you want to call them, the whiskey tubes, plus the blogs, plus the Instagram influencers and all that. That's really where we came out of, and so we want to make sure that we don't miss them, so to speak.
Nice.
Cheers, Aaron, buddy. That's freaking hilarious.
You are uninvited to our birthday collab. Oh, man. Well, I'll tell you the first one.
So
Jeez. What were you going to say? Sorry.
I think I know them all the first pass through.
Jeez.
The one that I didn't know, I think I know what it is now after seeing having the other ones.
Well, that's impressive. Even if you did the blending of it, it's still tough. Like I could sit back and go to bottles after I had so many pours of them, and I'll still mix them up when they're going against each other.
I will say I've tasted all of these a lot. Yeah. So I do know kind of what notes to look for in each one. One of them threw me off. I guess I could go ahead and say which one's which, because you guys are in a different order.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the second one I tasted, I wasn't sure on. The first one I tasted, I think is the third, because it's very bright and sweet PX sherry. The second one I wasn't sure on. The third one is 2, because it's the oakiest of them. And I think it has that cognac flavor. And then I have the fourth one, I think is 5, because it's the heaviest finish. And the fifth one is 4, because it's really spicy, which leaves the second one I tasted to be batch 1. So I think I'm 85% confident in these picks.
Wow.
That's impressive.
I'll be lucky to get one right.
Yeah, me too. Well, I haven't tasted 2 of them, so it's an experience.
So there's some hints there, things to look for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's interesting, there's 2 that are similar to me on the nose with the sweetness.
It's probably 3 and 5. Right? They were similar, right? 3 was what, sherry and rum?
So there were 4 of them have sherry and 1 has cognac. No, 1 has port. So 3 of them have sherry. 1 has port and 1 has cognac. And the 2 that I messed up on the nose were batches were Kelvin Collab 3 and Kelvin Collab 1. I was very thrown off on 1. Again, it's been a long time since I've really tasted it.
So I actually have a follow-up question for you on that, Bill, and it's going to be a nerdy question.
Okay.
So, sometimes you say dark rum dash sherry casks, and sometimes you say dark rum and sherry casks.
That's very intentional.
When it's the dash, did it have both spirits in the single casks, or what's the distinction there between the and?
Exactly.
Right,
dash means it was the same cask. So it originally, if it says dark rum dash sherry, it was originally dark rum and then it was sherry. And if it says and, there were 2 different finished barrels that we blended back together.
I don't even know if I ever caught that.
That's what I thought it meant. I've stared at the bottle many a times, like this is intentional. It keeps going back and forth.
So
Between
Bobby
dashes
does
and
our label
ands.
design. He does all the verbiage and everything, and picks 99% of the batch names. I had a bad experience on batch 2 and kind of threw up my hands and said I'm out. But
That was the June one,
came
right?
up with
That was the
idea
orbit,
because
right?
we were chatting about we want to be as transparent as possible. And we want people to know what's an easy way of saying that. And he said, well, we'll have to make sure that we tell everyone when we do interviews that the dash means 1 barrel and the and means 2. But that was his idea, and I thought it was genius, and I love it.
Very
That's a
intuitive.
good question.
Mr.
That's a very
Wack.
good question. The other question we get that I always forget to say, so I'm going to go ahead and try. I'll go ahead and say it now, is where does the name Foregate come from? I always forget it, and I forgot to put a section about it on our website that I've since worked on a couple of times and have yet to post. But it's a slang name for the 4-rail fence that's around all the horse farms in Kentucky.
Okay.
I always get that question, and I always forget to say it when I'm talking about the company.
Say
So
it one more
then-
time so that everybody hears it, because that was really
That's the
fast.
slang name for that 4-rail fence. They're usually either white or black.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's
Okay.
where the name came from. Bobby threw it. We threw a bunch of names in the hat, and he threw 4-gate fence in. I had no idea what a 4-gate fence was. I've lived here all my life. But he let me know. I went out and asked a couple of guys. I said, who I knew were in the horse industry, and I said, is 4-gate a slang term for that fence? And he said, yeah, all the workers call it a 4-gate. I said, all right, we'll roll with that. Drop the fence. Let's call it 4-gate.
So
So.
the picture itself, then,
Yeah.
is that a particular 4-gate of interest? Like,
It is a
got some,
photoshopped 4-gate, believe it or not. There's not really a 4-gate there.
Yeah.
There's not really a fence there. Bobby took that photo of that. It's an old spring house that's here in Louisville near one of the big parks, and we had them put a 4-gate fence in front of it for the label.
And if you guys want to go check out their website, here's the website for you. Thanks, Richie Z, for putting that in.
We're doing a revamp of that as well that Chris is going to help us out with. So sometime in the next few months or so, we'll probably have a new, little more interactive look to that. That one was done by me using WordPress, because that was what I used on the blog, and that's the only thing I know how to do with websites. So
Jeez.
Well,
all
then,
right, I got to go back
what
through these and see if I
comes-
still agree.
Oh yeah. So you're not quite ranking. Let's see if we're seeing if you can guess them. I guess now. I think that's the part of it, right? Or are you writing down how you're going to rank them too?
Well, that's like asking me to pick my favorite kid, which I definitely have, but I won't say it online.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm thrown out. I just tasted the one that I thought was 3, and now I think it's 1.
Nice.
Which one did I think was 1?
Well-
Hold on.
3 and 1 could be tough to distinguish, right?
Well, there's a bit of an age difference in them.
An age difference. Yeah.
Are they listed? No, they're not listed, or are they?
3 is the PX Sherry, and 1 is Oloroso. So
Oh, did we lose him?
Oh, I was wondering if it was me that froze.
No, I
We
think
might have
I'm-
lost him there for a second.
There we
No,
go.
he's back.
You're back. Yeah, he froze for a bit on our end, Bill.
I do have a question from somebody for you, Bill.
all right, you guys can't hear me.
Yeah,
hear
we're
you
good
now.
now.
Yep.
Yeah.
We got you back.
What's your thoughts
on
on
Bobby's 10-year
yours
Indiana
and-
toasted picks?
Well, there might be a
Yeah.
delay on his end. Your thoughts on the CBO pick?
Can you guys hear me now?
Yep.
Oh
we're
yeah,
good.
we can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, I really like that pick. I think there were 2 of them that we did on CBO picks for the 10-year Indiana, and I think it was either 2 or 1, and we released, I think, 3 barrels to other people of that whiskey, finished in toasted barrels, and they were all phenomenal. It was, I mean, the underlying whiskey was probably the best whiskey we had in-house at the time. It's so good. We did an Indiana Foundation release of that wasn't toasted. Really, really good release, but it was batched, so you lose some of the complexity that you get with the single barrels, even with the toasting on it. I really love all of those, and that's one of the ones that I think I only had maybe kept one or two sample bottles of any of those CBOs, and I think I drained that one, the 10-year pick first.
Do you find sometimes, Bill, that you get to the point where you taste the whiskey without it toasted and be like, I don't want to do anything with that, it's so good by itself? Or how do you guys manage that in regards to
We do, and we usually we will release that as we'll call it foundation.
Okay.
So we've had Indiana Foundation, Tennessee Foundation, and then just Foundation, which was Kentucky. There will be single barrel Foundation at the end of this year, 5 barrels of it, of some 10-year-old Kentucky that is just wonderful. We want to release it as is at barrel proof, and we'll do some ryes, 5 barrels of 10-year-old rye whiskey as well, unfinished. The ryes we call River Kelvin rye.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And this one will be called Heritage Foundation, I think is what we landed on.
For the Kentucky 10-year?
It'll be Kentucky 10-year, yeah.
Sure.
Are you guys going to do another release of the Andalusia rye and bourbon?
No. Well, we don't have any plans to. It's possible that we could. In our single barrel program this year, though, from the same rum distillery, those barrels are available as an option for the single barrels this year, for some of the single barrels, just a handful of them. So the closest we'll get to it is some single barrels aged in those. I do think there was some variation in the sherry between some of the barrels. When I tasted them, some were super sweet and some were very dry. So I kind of felt like some of them had maybe originally been dry sherry versus an Oloroso or something like that. It's kind of hard to say. We can only go by what's on the bill of lading. But I really, I think there were 10 of those barrels, and I want to say 4 of them were very dry. Tasted like dry sherry to me, as opposed to an Oloroso or something like that. It's hard. Again, there's rum on top of it, so maybe I'm just imagining things. But the closest you'll get to it is probably the some of those single barrels, at least for the next year or two.
Gotcha.
Okay. So, Bill, I do have a plea or just a very polite request, but stagger releases instead of dropping like 5 on me at once, because you cause marital problems when you drop like 5 at once on me.
We are working on releasing fewer limited releases. As we expand, it's harder because a lot of the times if we drop 5, it's because 2 of them only have maybe 1,000 bottles. We get it. I get it. And that's one thing that we fight. And if they only have 1,000 bottles, we're going to need to bottle them at the same time. Otherwise, it's going to cost you $250 a bottle just because of the bottling price. If you only run 1,000 bottles, it costs you a fortune. So we have to combine batches in bottling. And then what happens is you go through all the red tape through your distributors in each different state, trying to get them to put in their PO, that by the time they finally do, you got 4 batches out, and then they buy them all at once. And they put them all out at once. So we don't do it intentionally, but we do understand that it would be probably better received if we did 4 a year plus the split stave and spread them out once a quarter, for example, which is what we actually tried to do last year. And then they all went out on the same day because of miscommunications with everyone involved. So it's again, the type things you run into when you start a company like this that you never expected and never expected. It's crazy.
Well, there's no training necessarily for the job that you do right now because you're writing the playbook as you go.
If anyone wants to hire me to train them, I'll gladly do that. That'd be fine. I can work for whiskey too.
No one's traveled down the same road you have, even though other people are in whiskey. You're still traveling down your own unique road on this journey.
Well, I think that's probably the exciting part for you, I would imagine, of being passionate about what you do, but also as you go through these growing pains and growing the brand itself, it has to be a lot of fun, but a lot of heartache as well at the same time, because you are making that road or inroad yourself when nobody else has done what you're doing. So
I've said this a million times since I started working full time. When I worked in finance for years, I spent a lot of time doing spreadsheets for other people that I absolutely hated it. And now when we say, hey, let's do a spreadsheet on all the compliance documents we have to file every year when they come due, and I say, I'll do that. That sounds great. So when you're doing it for yourself, there's a little more excitement for it.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the man, the myth, the legend, DC. Good evening, friends. Just poured Port Perry batch 21. That one is so good. That's one of my
favorite of our rye batches.
That is so
Holy
good.
cow. I tasted. He sent me a sample of it, and I was immediately trying to hunt a bottle down because it is just my profile to a T. I loved that profile.
Yeah, it was a great batch.
I've got a special place in my heart for the Kelvins, but I think the Port Perry is my favorite non-Kelvin batch. It'd probably be the split stave Boo Rye. Would actually be the other one that sticks out to me if I were to try to rank them all outside of the Kelvins. But I have a special place in my heart for the Kelvins.
Yeah, that's.
I have a lot of them, and it depends on the day.
Yeah,
4x4 and Saint Laurent. When we released the two of those, I still go back and forget how much I love to sip on those whiskeys. They were
Saint Laurent, right?
I love that. Absolutely love it.
I tried that at your house. It's when you were about to bottle them. We had that one. God, it was 18. I think you didn't have Port Perry at the time. There was three other bottles you poured for us.
I thought it was you had the split stave Kelvin. I thought it was the Kelvin 4 too at the time, is what you said. I think it was like all that batch. That was all the same time, right? Like
we released them in two different. The only two that came out together at the same time were Saint Laurent and 4x4 because they were very small batches, but they all wound up hitting the shelves at the same time because of delays in shipping. So yeah, four of them essentially came out at the same time when it was supposed to be 2 and 2.
Yeah, that bottle's great, and I'm a sucker for like cognac finishes or like rum finishes. That one just hit me because that's what 2 is. Like 2 is what cognac and rum, and that bottle right there is just. I think I know which one it is, but I may be wrong. I say that now, and I'm like, I got a 20% chance of getting it right.
I think I know as well, Durell. I'm in the same page. You know what though? Even though I think I know, this is really hard to rank.
What do you think in 2 is? Because ours are in the same order.
Oh, we got the same order. I think 2 is C. I think C? 2 is C.
Oh shit! I was thinking 2 was B.
Oh,
C, I was getting like this little red hot note, which I don't remember getting off of batch 2 or Kelvin 2.
Oh, I can smell that red hot note too. That's interesting.
I think I'm getting that on the one I'm sipping.
The red hot note?
I'm having a tough time arranging these. Yeah, I understand what you're talking. Yeah, with the red hot note. Yeah.
I'm gonna go back through.
You got that?
Kind of went in.
So I have a theory on that red hot note.
Do you? Okay. What's the theory? Because we don't know what we're drinking.
I think it's the Burrai because I think that I get that a lot out of our Burrai. Every time I played around with Burrais, I get cinnamon and kind of red hots. And that was the one. If this is the one that I'm tasting that you're tasting too, I got red hots out of it. That's what I have in my notes. I have cinnamon.
Yeah. Yeah. I got cinnamon red hot candy along with vanilla. It's sweet up front too, but it's like it reminds me of that red hot candy, the little red circles.
14-year Indiana Foundation. That's a banger.
Oh,
Holy
yeah.
Oh, there you go, Todd. Oh, that was so good. That's actually one of the first. I think that might be within our first 3 episodes on the show, Bill. We actually tasted that live and did like a live review of that 14 year.
That was crazy.
I only got one bottle of that.
Whiskey.
How many were there? There was like what? 40?
129.
Yeah,
129.
Less than 130.
Sheesh.
Another thing that we get a question of a lot is we always tell how many bottles were bottled, and someone will inevitably send me a photo through social media. I'll say we bottled 1,250 of these, and they'll send me one that says 1,262. You lied, and I have to explain that inevitably bottles fall off the bottling line, or the labels get applied incorrectly, and we only print one of each beforehand. So we have extra ones done, and what happens is they have to throw if bottle number 50. The label gets screwed up on the labeler. We're not going to send it out. They scrape the label off and put another label on it. And there's usually 10 to 25 of those. So at least, well, probably 10 to 25 is probably accurate. So there, it's possible. One of this happened with the Indiana Foundation too. Someone had like 131 and sent me a message, and they thought I was lying to them. And I said, no, I don't think you understand.
I just love that you have to like point that out. Like,
I get it.
It was 131 because you got that 131. Oh,
I get it. You tell people you're transparent, and you come out with something like that. Those were expensive bottles, and they hear there's only 129, and yet they have 131. They're wondering what kind of crap we're trying to pull. So I get it.
Here's a fun question for you. Go ahead, Jeff.
Nope, go for it.
One fun question. Ask any creator, pioneer of a brand is, if you had the ability to do anything with 4Gate, what would the next big thing be?
I guess it kind of depends on where you want to take that. We do all of our operations at Bardstown Bourbon Company, but I would love to have our own tasting room and warehouse where we could play around with blending on our own and do some real experimental stuff on one-offs. So that would probably be number one on my wish list, but that's also super expensive for something that doesn't generate any revenue on its own. So don't know that that's really in the cards for us. Otherwise, there's a couple of finishes I really want to do, and we have one of them in the works right now that I don't want to spill yet. It's another fortified wine that we haven't done yet, and it's my favorite finish for a bourbon that we're going to do. We're going to use it twice, and it's going to be awesome. Two of them, actually. There's two fortified wine finishes coming out that we've been wanting to do since day one. A couple of times we've had the barrels come through Kelvin, and they tell us they reject them. They just say they're awful. They smell moldy, or they're leaking all over the place. And we finally got some good ones, and we're excited for those.
You guys think you'll do your own bottling line or eventually, or is it just not cost efficient for what you guys put out right now?
I don't know why we would. We'd have to hire a staff for it. We'd have to have a licensed location in our own warehouse, and I don't know that it's I don't know that there's any reason for us to do that unless we wanted to kind of outsource that service to other brands as well and do that full time. But for what we want to do, Bardstown Bourbon Company they are super professional. They're the state of the art facilities. I just don't really see an advantage to outlaying that kind of capital for what we do. If we were producing 200,000 bottles a year, sure, but I doubt that's in the cards for us in the near future. Just based on our price point and our business model, it's not where we're trying to be.
Gotcha. Thanks, Richie, for putting that up, buddy. Well, guys, we're getting close to time. Do you guys have any rankings? Yeah.
I'll throw one more question out here, real quick. DC laid this one down. He's wondering if it was a dumb question or not, is what he's followed up with. But American single malts are actually taking off. Is there any ideas for American single malts within the
I would love to do some single malts. At some point, we probably will. We haven't come across any barrels that we're in love with for it. But I think it's the next big thing. And we all know that single malt whiskey takes to barrel finishing as well as anything in the world. So yeah, I want to do some single malts. We haven't done any wheated bourbons either. We haven't done a wheat whiskey. And those are two of them that we've talked about. The issue with those, they tend to be less complex than anything with rye in them. They do tend to get a little overpowered by finishes. But I'd like the chance to play around with it a little bit.
Nice.
That's another example where it'd be great to have our own facility where we could do a little experimental blending on our own.
Yeah.
So what's upcoming like soon, Bill, for you in terms of
the next batch that we have is a triple oak. It's a American straight whiskey that we then rebarreled. It was 7 years old. We rebarreled it into a toasted barrel from Kelvin Cooperage and then a new charred barrel from Kelvin Cooperage. So it'll be triple oaked American whiskey. It is, if you had tasted the before and after, unreal. It is really, really tasty right now. When we do a lot of tastings out at places around town where we take some of our as yet to be released stuff, it has kind of been a lot of people's favorite over the last couple of months. And it's bottled and will probably be out in the next 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
And we'll have another one to honor the 60th anniversary of Kelvin Cooperage later this year as well.
What batch is the triple cask?
What are we on now? 29, 30?
Oh, geez. Are you really? I have some of the later ones, but I'm looking at Saint Laurent, which is 18. 30 batches.
It'll be 29. So we have 28. Kelvin Collab was 28. Yeah.
Okay.
And then we have a couple of them that weren't labeled. All of our single barrels weren't labeled. That 14-year wasn't a batch number. Things like that. The Eagle Thief wasn't a batch. Didn't have a batch number either. So those are kind of special releases that aren't really normal batches for us. And then our flagship, the Split State by Kelvin's flagship, is not doesn't have a batch number either. So we've probably had, counting each year of single barrels as a release, we've probably had 36 releases, somewhere in there.
Thing got a little over half.
So I got one other question for you, Bill, before we start getting into rankings here.
Damn.
Okay.
You have 3 guys here who actually really, really enjoy blending whiskeys. And we had Nancy Fraley on, 4 or 5 weeks ago. She kind of walked us through her process of blending whiskeys, and that she kind of has this like mindset of what she goes through. If you were to give tips to people who want to win Jason's Blend-A-Geddon competition, what would you tell them on
Call Todd Ritter.
How to blend? Todd Ritter?
Call Todd Ritter. Don't listen to anything he says. I don't know. I haven't watched his competitions real closely. I do know that I think Todd's one of the time he won it, he had a Dusty in there.
Yeah.
That was it really just gave it a unique character. So I would say what you kind of probably want to do, especially in a competition like that, is you need something that makes your whiskey stand out when you're tasting it against a bunch of other whiskeys. So something that gives it some sort of a characteristic that all the other ones aren't going to have. Because at some point, if you taste 4 or 5 whiskeys, 6 whiskeys, 10 whiskeys in a day, they all taste the same by about that 10th one. So you want something that really stands out some way. Throw a little Distillery 291 in there or something with that Aspen stave. I don't know, if you can find a way to make it work, but find something unique and different that's going to give it its own. It's going to make it pop a little bit. That's what I would say. That's what I would do.
Make it pop without making it too funky. All right.
That's right. You don't want to be bad. That's not good, but pop good is good.
All right. So I've purposely been delaying because if Dana's listening to me right now, she never actually wrote a key down anywhere. And I texted you, and you haven't texted me back a key.
My wife got her
So
phone.
I have no idea.
Again,
I have no idea what we're drinking.
I can always find out. I just have to grab my wife's phone and check the text.
Oh, wait. I got it. All right. I didn't actually process it.
All right.
So let's take down our order here. So I'll do Durell, Kelsey, myself, and Bill. I'm gonna put you in here too.
Okay. I'm figuring out which ones are which for me here. Okay, and I thought.
See, I think it's between B and C for me for first.
All right, Kelsey, do you have an order?
D.
Yes.
So.
All right, I knew I could depend on you.
A. I'm gonna go first to last. Okay.
Yeah.
You got A first.
So A is first for me. C second. B third. E fourth. And D.
Which one's fourth? Bravo?
No, E.
Oh, E.
And then D is last.
Okay.
That nose on
Kelsey,
that first glass is unreal.
So
I
you
am
went
aligned
A,
with you.
You went A, B, C, E, D?
No, I went A, C, B,
Oh, A, C, B, E, D.
E, D.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's from
I'm
first to
aligned
last,
with you.
right?
I flip flopped D and E, Kelsey. So I am the same as you, but I flip flop D and E.
Man, whatever that first glass is, it's almost like it's so fruity that I get like a sugared strawberry on it almost. It's crazy to me.
Oh, that is definitely there, but there's a whole lot of barrel influence. I think that's what I kept going back to on that one.
Yeah. No, I can get that, but it's so. What surprises me is you get all of that sweetness, but then you get the depth of what you're talking about with the barrel notes on the back of it.
Ugh.
All right, I figured out my ranking.
Okay.
But I know what they are, so it doesn't do any good until you guys are done.
Well, Durell will be here for another 20 minutes, so.
Well, I just need about 60 seconds and I'm good.
Durell's like, well, I just now started A-Bing them, and I have to A-B each one individually. So give me about 10 minutes now.
Bill, when is y'all's next event? Is it Bourbon on the Banks will be the next big event, or you got?
Oh gosh, we're in.
That?
I think we probably have 8 of them coming up across the country in the next 2 months. We've got stuff coming up in Indianapolis, Nashville, Atlanta, Bourbon on the Banks. Gosh, I can't even think of where they all are.
Are they on your website?
Bobby's going to be out in California in a I think next week doing an event out there. I'm going to be in Georgia, 2 in Louisville. I don't know, all over the place.
Okay.
I don't know when our next ones are. There's too many of them to list. I think the next one's in Indianapolis.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely be able to see you guys whenever we're out there in October for Bourbon on the Banks for sure.
Yeah, we're definitely doing Bourbon on the Banks. That's one of my priorities. So
I got my.
I mean, I hope it's one of your priorities, Bill, because we planned an entire trip around seeing you because Todd told us to plan it, for Bourbon on the Banks to come see Bill. So.
There we go. Oh, yeah, and Chris will be at the Bourbon Junkies thing up in Michigan, I think, or wherever that is.
Coors in the Park, yep.
Coors in the Park, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'll give that guy a big hug.
Yeah, I think he's going to kind of wander around the VIP event with maybe a pocket full of samples for folks.
Uh-oh.
I highly recommend searching him out.
Chris knows where to find us.
Chris, you can just, since I'm not able to make it up there, you can just go ahead and hand deliver that to me.
Bring you back some. I'll probably see Chris on Thursday.
Right.
Yeah.
Durell.
Yeah. B, Bravo, Charlie, Alpha, Echo, Delta.
He's the weird one.
No.
All right. So Bravo, Charlie, Echo, Delta.
Nope. Bravo, Charlie, Alpha.
Bravo, Charlie, Alpha. All right.
Yeah. Echo, Delta.
Echo, Delta.
ED.
All right. So, Bill, do you want to give your reveal first, and then we'll give ours?
Why don't you guys tell me what your all's ranking is, and then I'll see if I match up with you.
Okay.
All right.
And you have the
let's
key.
see here. So, very consistently, whatever was in C was glass 2. We bounced back and forth between glass A and B as number 1, and then we had D and E bouncing back and forth between 4th and 5th.
See, I think glass C is number 3. I think it's Kelvin 3.
You're correct.
Yeah. And I think B is Kelvin 2.
You're correct there, too. All right, Durell, let's keep going. Keep doubling down.
I know D is the lowest proof on, what was that, batch 4, I believe? Kelvin 4.
The Burai.
Yeah.
I got another, rum. But I think they both mix. So that one I'm not sure. If I was to guess, I would think, what did I say? 2, 3, 4. I would think C is batch 5 and E is batch 1.
Close.
Oh,
so you double guess. I feel like you double guess C there. So
I said B, C, D. Right?
Wait.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Just tell the order, Jeff.
Did she do that? Did she actually do that?
What happened?
Are you serious? She gave them to us in order. She didn't actually blind him. She gave it to us in order. That is my wife thing to do. She's like, A is 1, 2 is B, 3 is C, 4 is D, 5 is E.
Oh my goodness. Well, we didn't know that, so it doesn't really play into us at all, right?
That's funny. So what were your all's orders of the batches then?
She's like, yes, I did.
Mine was 1,
so
then 3, then 2, then 4, and then 5.
All right.
5.
First place, number 2 for me. Second, batch 3, which those are what we're thinking anyway, typically. All right, like 2's been my favorite since I've had it. Out of the Kelvins. Actually, maybe outside of the Indiana 14, that may be probably my favorite bottle that I've tasted.
Yeah.
I really, really love that bottle.
So A did win tonight, so that would have been number 1. Man, the classic won it tonight. That's very interesting.
It is so much going on that glass. So much going on.
The last time I did this, the Burai won. That's what interests me the most.
See, the sherry is like, it's definitely present. Sherry, right? Sherry and rum. I mean,
yeah.
Oloroso. Yeah.
Oh.
So I ranked them 2, 3, 1, 5, 4.
2, 3, 1, 5.
That's
4.
my exact same ranking.
Is it?
Yeah, 2, 3, 1, 5, 4.
Great minds think alike.
Yep, that's Durell's ranking.
Durell's the smart one of the group. I don't know if you guys know that. He's the palate.
See, I think
we know that, but there are things we're not supposed to say out loud, Bill. Come on.
See, Kelvin 1 is really, really good, but I think 2, just the finish is just a little bit more potent. It lingers a bit more on the tongue for me. And it could be that cognac too. Like I said, I'm a sucker for cognac finishes, but yeah, that bottle's great.
I really thought the PX sherry popped in 3, and that's why I had it second. That super fruity, fruit forward sherry as opposed to the dry nuttiness just really popped. And I had them right is what I thought each one was. I thought 1 would finish higher than that, but I kind of thought 1 and 2 were similar, but 2 was kind of like I think how Daryl kind of said it kind of finished better. It's kind of like an overall better version of 1 almost to me. So yeah, 2, 3, 1, and then 5, 4.
Yeah, and the only thing for 4, like it's really, really good. It's just the proof going against 120 proofs. It's tough because I think that one's like 110 or something. It's the lowest proof you've done.
Yeah, the rye is usually in the low 100s, and that pulls it down.
You got it.
It's at 111.
111.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, that was fun, man.
That was great.
Every time we do this, it comes up with a different order. This is fun. I hope I have enough that we can do this again next year.
We'll do it again in a year when the next one is out and see if it's a totally different order.
Yeah, that would be fun. Absolutely.
That'll be the plan.
Do 10
It's
years.
always a matter of portion control because when it comes to the 4,
maybe next time I'll send out samples and we'll do random different 4 gates.
Ooh.
Hey, that would be
maybe
fun
next time I'll just send out samples myself of random 4 gates and you just taste them. Maybe we'll do a 4-gate rye comparison, a vertical rye or something like that.
Ooh,
So finished ryes. That'd be fun. I haven't seen that done yet.
No, Todd was
seen
talking
that one
about
done yet. That could be fun.
Some craft ryes over.
Can we stop talking about Todd? I mean, everyone talks about Todd.
It's like that movie from like '89, All About Todd, or what about
It's
Bill?
all about Todd.
What about Bob? What about
I can't.
He
He's
is our
family. I'm allowed to
executive
say that.
producer. Yeah, he's family to you, but he's also family to us. He's our executive producer. Comes up with all kinds of great ideas and fun things for us to do.
He's a fun guy. He's a good guy. I like Todd. I like to give Todd a hard time.
I'm pretty
That's the best
sure.
part.
I actually have a counter right here behind me. No one's seen it before, but I flip it every day, and it's how many days we've talked to Todd, and it's about 340 days running, the consecutive days that we've talked to Todd at some point.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
That's that guy. Todd's great.
Well,
Awesome.
Bill, thank you so much for joining us today. This was an amazing tasting. This was probably one of the toughest things I've had to rank in quite a while. Gosh darn. We've been waiting to do this for months too. So I'm so glad we got to do this with you. This was quite the pleasure.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This has been a blast. My pleasure to be here.
We appreciate you, sir. Excuse
Well,
me.
51 people still hanging out with us tonight. We'll send them over to Jason just shortly. Durell, why don't you start the countdown and we will slowly sign off. What we do here, just to be clear, as we go around the circle, just sign off and let people know where they can find us, on the social media and all those type of things, Bill. So you can drop all your hashtags and everything.
I don't even know them all by heart.
I say the simple ones, but no, cheers, guys. Thanks for joining again on another Whiskey Wednesday with us. Thank you, Bill, for joining, man. This is great. 4Gate, we all love. We can't go wrong with them. So this was just fun, man. You guys can follow me on IG, The Whiskey Saint, and just continue to follow us every Wednesday over here. Pass it down to you, Kelsey.
All right. Guys, thanks so much for hanging out. Thanks again for Bill for your time and hanging out with us and drinking some whiskey. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram, just Kelsey Dime. And I'll send it over to Bill.
Guys, thanks so much for having me. This was a blast. My pleasure to be here. A lot of fun. We'll do it again. And you can find me all over the place. Personal ones are all at Bill Straub, JR, probably Junior. The rest of them are all at 4Gate. Some of them are 4_Gate. You just have to search around depending on which social media network you're on. But we're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We've got a Facebook group called 4Gate Whiskey Company Community or something along those lines. So join that if you want to chat with us directly. That's fun stuff. Good times.
Nice.
Oh, that's a good group too. I'm in that one as well. It's a great Facebook group. Well, thank you for joining, everybody. Go head over to Jason at the Mash and Drum. Go give him some love and let him know who sent you. But thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next Whiskey Wednesday. Goodbye, everybody.
Cheers, guys.
Jeff, just be friends with me. But you have these whiskey friends, and you say hello again. Oh, Jeffrey, you should just be friends with me. But you have these whiskey friends, and you say hello again.